Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to ModGolf Live. I am your host, Colin Weston, and I'm excited for the show today because this is one that it's a bit of a back and forth, a give and take. Actually, I was on her podcast, the Coach Mo podcast, a couple weeks ago, and it was such a fun conversation there. I said, hey, Coach Mo, we got to have you on the ModGolf YouTube channel here on ModGolf Live, and we'll turn the tables, flip the microphones around, and I'll be the one asking questions this time rather than you. So she's going to be joining us in just 1 minute. I did want to mention this is the last show I may do for a week or two. Reason being is I'm going to be hitting the road as of Thursday. I'm going to be gone, not in Vancouver here, where I live on the West Coast. I'm going to be traveling for 5 weeks. And in the middle of that, it's going to be 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Ireland and a little bit in Scotland. Reason I'm going there is for the Golf Business Technology Conference. I'm going to be speaking there about all things innovation and entrepreneurship. That's a kind of a small, curated, more industry conference. First year they've actually done this. So there's going to be about 300 or 400 people there. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And I'm going to get a chance to play some golf for the first time in Ireland. So me and my 17 handicap and my golf clubs are going to make it all the way over there. But before that, I'm going to go back to Toronto where I grew up. So play a little bit of golf there and do some other things business-wise and family-wise, because I've got family back there. And then on the back end, coming back from Ireland and also from Scotland, I am going to be in Toronto again and part of the media contingent of the RBC Canadian Open. Third time I've done that. Well, I've been twice, and both times I've had COVID twice, and both times it was there. So I'm hoping 3 is not a charm in this case and that I get COVID again. But you never know. Maybe I'll get lucky with that, if you want to call that lucky. Okay, so before I bring Coach Mo on here, as I mentioned, there we go. Yes, formerly known as Monique, but we call her Coach Mo because we're all friends here. That's what we do here. But hey, to get started, as I do on Mondays, do my Monday morning musings, the things that since last week's show, that have gone on, transpired in golf, in life, in the world, or even with myself. So this week, I'm going to talk about, it's all about me. I'm going to talk about me a little bit here. So the power of golf. As I mentioned, I'm a 17 handicap. Was better than that when I was playing more during COVID. But as I was warned many years ago when I stumbled into the golf industry, that I will give up my golf game. And yes, it is frustrating because I don't get a chance to get out and practice as much. Certainly not learning and improving my technique and not playing as much, only playing about 15, 20 rounds a year. So my handicap has crept back up here again. But I play every single weekend. This is part of the community building piece. So I managed to connect with, I'm not a member of a private club, but I am a member of what's called the Weekend Men's Group. It's been around for 40 to 50 years at the University Golf Club here in Vancouver. And I had the good fortune of becoming part of that group, about 150 guys. And from scratch handicaps and less all the way up to guys that are like 30. And I'm like kind of somewhere in the middle there. So I was out on Saturday, beautiful day, windy day. And first stretch of holes, first 4 holes, I think are the toughest on the course. So if you can get through there in even par, just over, you're doing quite well. When I was playing first 4 holes, I was 4 over, so I'm right on my handicap here, so doing okay. And then coming out of that, and my good friends at Arcos, I use their sensors to track my data, and had them on the podcast a couple of times with Sal Syed, who is the founder. Had some great conversations there in a previous episode. And as you can see here, then this hole, which is the 5th hole, about 370 yards here. So I played it conservatively since I don't hit my driver all that way. I spray it everywhere. So took 3-wood, hit it, didn't hit it a ton, but hit it almost 220, put it in play. And then the wind picked up a little bit. And Arco said, go with a 9-iron. Normally I go with a 7. Hit my best shot of the day there. Stuck it to 12 feet, as you can see there. And this is the one thing I love about Arcos, because with golf, and Coach Mo will get into this, golf is so hard. And I don't think it's just me. I talk to people and I read things, and maybe it's the way our brains are wired, but we remember, or the bad shots, we kind of think about, all those shots we missed or left out on the course there. And, you got to celebrate those good shots. And in this case here, yeah, it's nice to know with this what they call top shots here with Arcos after your round that yeah, that shot was better than 93% of what the guys on tour would do. So that's pretty good. And I made the putt. So there we go. This is, I think, like the third hardest hole on the course. And yeah, managed to birdie this. So I'm feeling fantastic. So I'm figuring, oh geez, well, okay, I'm below my cap now. I'm only 3 over par after 5, got things going. And this is the way that golf then teaches you to be a bit humble. So that was the best hole I've had all year. Like, put 3 great shots together. And then the next hole, a par 3, but 150 yards. Figured, well, you know what? I'm going to hit 9 iron again. It's also going in the same wind direction. And what do? Basically do an armsy swing, flare it to the right there. Terrible shot. Worst swing of the day. Behind a tree. Try to hit it out. Move it forward. I guess about 10 yards. Still stuck in the rough. Then I bladed across the green. And then from there, I managed to, I haven't done this ever, I managed to shank a chip 2 yards. And then the next one hit a good chip, hit it to 3 feet, and then I missed the putt. So I did that for a nice little quadruple bogey 7. So I go from the best hole I've had all year to the worst hole. So going from the elation, oh, I'm going to have a great round and put this together, and then having this all within a span of 20 minutes. So I guess the lesson here, reason I want to mention this, is golf is hard. But the fact I didn't walk away of that like grumpy, feeling terrible, sure, I was a little disappointed. The guys I'm playing with that I'm friends with, they were pretty quiet because they wanted to give me some space. But you know what? I just stepped up to the next tee, which was another par 3 back to back, and just stuck it on the green and walked away with a par and kind of moved on. So I just want to use that as an example with myself. With golf, don't set these goals or a number or have these expectations looking for the result. Just get out, swing your swing, play your shots, and just go from there. So there you go. So there's my Monday morning musings. One thing I will do as I start here on YouTube, you see in the bottom there, hey, if you like what we're doing here with ModGolf Live, if you like my musings, hopefully you do. Maybe you don't. But even if you don't like them, why don't you subscribe to the ModGolf YouTube channel here? Give us a little thumbs up here. Put a comment for us here. And by the way, with comments, as I pull up Coach Mo, this is a live and interactive show. And you see I've already put up there in chat here. You want to join us, Coach Mo? Do you have any swing fix questions? Anything you want to ask her? Because she is a PGA teaching professional. I am not, with my 17 handicap. So you have any questions there about your personal golf journey or what we're going to be rolling out here today? Talk about the great work that Coach Mo does, not only on her own podcast to spread the word, but also what she does with her teaching academy as far as growing the game with juniors, with adults for the first time, and also how the game is growing, what she sees personally with her work, and also in the US, North America, globally, with women. Okay, so that's enough for me. Let's bring her on. And there she is, Coach Mo. Welcome to ModGolf Live.
Hey, Colin, thanks so much for having me on. This is awesome. I've never been on a live show before, so excited
there
to be
we go.
here.
Well, no pressure. Like I said, it's like stepping up to the first tee. You just do your best. So yes, I wanted to share my weekend golf journey. So I'm sure you see that all the time, and it's a matter of what you take away from that too. And I just kind of laughed and gave me a good story to talk about over a pint of Guinness afterwards in the clubhouse.
Yeah. I mean, we see that a lot. Like, you have one of those incredible holes, and then, I look at my student scorecards, and then immediately after is like a string of bogeys or doubles or whatnot. So a lot of that comes down to learning how to manage the emotions of the highs and lows. And that is a skill to be developed, just like the swing.
100%, 100%. Okay, so all of our viewers out there, and by the way, live and interactive, I see we got a couple people already joining us. So, hey, if you are, please put a question in chat once we get going here. Don't be shy. You know what? And I will pull it up. I will give you part of your 15 minutes of fame here. And we'll just keep on rolling. But I have lots of questions, so I can definitely fill our half hour here. But I want to start here. People that don't know all the good things that you're doing, why don't you start by talking about how you and I met?
Yeah, so I met you, Colin, at the PGA show. We were both invited to a Buffalo group luncheon. And so, they had the spread out and a lot of tables. And We had some mutual people that we know, and Colin was little did I know, I didn't know he was a podcaster, let alone there to accept an award at the PGA show. And he there was a seat vacant next to me, and you kind of popped in, but you kindly and politely said, like, not trying to be rude, but like, I am super late to go accept an award. And so I think we were both like eating like enchiladas and rice and whatnot. And then I gave you your space, but then you kindly like turned to me and just started talking about, the podcast and asking me questions. And we just started chatting. And then, I guess via email, I was like, hey, if you'd ever like to be a guest on the show, I'd love to have you on. And we just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and I appreciate you extending that invitation, that
Yeah.
power of invitation, not only to be on someone's podcast, but also in golf, especially for women. We've talked about this a lot. Sandy Cross talks about this with the PGA of America. So we'll dig into that a little bit, but let's keep it going with you here. So with the Coach Mo podcast, you've been going for a couple of years. You're in your third season now, I understand. So let's talk about your why, your purpose. Like you're like me as an entrepreneur. You've got your business. What motivated you to put the effort in to create the Coach Mo podcast?
The Coach Mo Golf Show I created for a couple of different reasons, and one of them being, especially with at the academy, where we do a lot of junior golf development, and there is, this day and age, especially with the parents' involvement in junior golf coaching and development, a lot of them don't know like what to do. It's their first child they're dealing with. The parents this generation have been very, very hands-on, maybe too much sometimes.
Right.
And so I found myself saying the same things over and over and over again. But I found if I invited reputable guests to come on the show from different backgrounds and different experience, if they came on the show and were giving advice to juniors and parents, maybe they would listen to them more. Because when we're working with the same kids and parents for a while, sometimes we almost feel like like a mom is with their kid, that the kid tunes them out. Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. And so that happens with coaching too. So part of it was to bring on other people and other guests in different backgrounds to give their advice, and maybe it would help these juniors and parents. And then also it was a great way for me to get educated. I find I'm not one to like sit down and read a bunch of books. I like to learn more with the hands-on. And so when you have a guest in front of you who is an expert in their field or whatever it is, and you have the opportunity to connect and talk with them and ask questions, I think it's one of the best ways to learn. And so that was it. And then the third reason was, as a golf coach, and especially in Northeast Florida, I mean, golf is so saturated in this area. We have millions of coaches, great coaches, but it's how do you separate yourself? And I have a communications background from Furman University. And so I'd taken classes on broadcast journalism and public speaking and whatnot. And I just found it was going to be a great way to kind of use my education, but also become a separator, because as far as I know, there's not too many female golf podcasts out there where the focus is on, a lot of, women's topics, girls topics, there's a lot of golf podcasts out there, but what are the topics? Maybe they're talking with PGA Tour professionals, maybe they're talking about technology or equipment or tournament results, but what's out there kind of focusing on, like real life people, girls and women. And so like that was just an avenue where I felt like I could connect and create great information for the audience.
No, I love that. You threw out a lot of really insightful key takeaways right there. And one of them I'm going to focus on is what you touched on, is you're not trying to be everything for everyone. And I've done the same thing with ModGolf, where I do focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, the growth of the game. It may be technology based, entertainment based. It may not be. It may be just that grassroots community building piece. But
Right.
I don't try to then focus on, let's say, the PGA Tour and the Masters 2025 preview or whatever that could be. Other people do that with way more resources, do it way better than I do. So I don't focus on that stuff at all and understand what my lane is. My lane, sometimes could be wider than other times, but it sounds like you've embraced the exact same thing and you've understood that. So with that, with your audience, what have you learned over the last couple of years with the Coach Mo Golf Show? That who is watching, who is listening, and how do you manage to connect and engage with those people?
When I look into kind of who's looking, I was like, oh, this could be like one family member and one of the kids at Academy listening, their mom, but it ended up being there's a lot of international people listening, different countries like Egypt. Like I would have never thought I'd have
Wow,
people in
really?
Egypt regularly listening. But also I get texts and emails, and I'm sure a lot of people listen, they don't reach out and tell you they're listening, but I have been reached out to by parents of junior golfers from different parts of the country, being like, hey, I really learned a lot from that episode, or hey, like that was so great with that guest. And then I've had one of the topics I get a lot of feedback from is Coach Dawn Woodard. She is a Furman alumni as well, and she's our mental performance coach at the Academy. But she does virtual work. So she's located in South Carolina, and I've had a lot. I believe she's gained a lot of clients just from the podcast episodes we've done, because they will listen to her episode and us talking about what she does, and then people reach out and become clients of hers. So that's been a really cool thing, and hopefully for my other guests, I try to promote what they do or their business, whether they have a book or whatnot or another podcast, try to promote what they do, and so hopefully it creates more engagement for whatever they're doing as well.
Love this. Now, I just did a webinar, a lunch and learn on creating a podcast for people in the golf industry or how to become a guest on a podcast. And some of the research I did to put that presentation together was I knew this in the back of my mind of what the number was, but I've forgotten about it. And I'll ask you because I put it out there as a question. So the millions of podcasts out there, I know you've got with the Coach Mo Golf Show. It's more than a podcast. It also is on YouTube, also in the video component of this. But what is the average number of episodes that a podcast has of all the millions? So that 50% right in the middle line, what is the average number of episodes before they quit?
Gosh, this is more a guess, but I feel like a lot of people don't even make it to like 20.
Three.
Three? They stop at three?
I know.
Wow.
And digging into the research, a lot of the reason is you haven't set up in your mind what success is, what you define as success. So people get really either frustrated or disappointed, maybe not getting, they have a certain expectation on download numbers, which also ties in back to where I opened the show with, as far as being results driven. Me showing up at the tee as a 17 handicap, and of course, it's a beautiful day where I play before, is like, I'm going to shoot 84 today. I'm going to break 84. And if I don't do that, and all of a sudden I shoot 93, no matter that I hit some amazing shots and I had a great time with my friends, if I had that mindset, I would be, I didn't have a good day. It's like
Right.
that results driven piece. So I know that's the reason a lot of people that create content get very frustrated, or they haven't figured out what their purpose is, of how maybe they want to monetize it in a way that they think all of a sudden they're going to be like some big influencer
Right.
and make tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this every single month. And that doesn't happen. Whereas I want to turn this around to you now, is like, what do you define? What's your definition of success? That not only with the Academy, but even more so with the with the Coach Mo Golf Show. What do you consider to be success for you?
Well, and I think golf and life tie into and overlap in so many different ways. And so I think, again, when you hear us, and as coaches, we're always talking about the process. And so
Right.
it's easy for me, who grew up being a competitive player and playing at the Division I level, and now flipping that around and now coaching kids and parents to try to achieve these things, like you cannot be focused on the results and numbers portion. They're important. We have to reflect on them and know where we're starting from, and where we'd like to go. But if you're constantly just looking at the numbers, I think you'll get distracted from achieving what is accomplished through the process. And the process, as boring as that may sound, is the most important thing of the growth for a player. And as we look outside of golf into life, like whatever you're doing for your career or your family, looking at it as a process and trying to figure out like what's the big picture. And I think sometimes when you're too close to things, you're going to miss a lot. And so especially with numbers and data driven things, like I love looking at the numbers, I love data, but I've also know when you need to kind of use it as a reference, and then you need to step back and actually put the work in. And one of the greatest analogies ever, and not just, this is very common, but my aunt always talked about like planting a seed.
Right.
You plant a seed, you got to give it sunlight, you got to give it water, and it takes time to grow. You don't know when it's going to bud or sprout. But if you're overwatering and oversaturating it, or it's not getting the right resources, it's not getting an adequate amount of sunlight, or maybe it's too much, the flower's not going to bloom as it's supposed to. And so I think it's one of the best analogies for development, because, the kids, parents, players, I mean, the YouTube people who are on YouTube trying to get a quick fix, everybody's looking for, a really quick answer. And sometimes you got to go put the work in at the range, and then you got to let it go. And then you come back the next day. And it takes a lot of those days added up consecutively and consistently without doing these back and forth quick changes. Well, I hit balls yesterday and it didn't do this, so now I'm going to change my grip. Okay,
Right.
then I changed my grip, and then tomorrow I'm going to change my stance. And it's like they get caught in this spiral because they don't even know how or what they got there, and they didn't really work through the process and stick with it to actually see if those results were going to pan out the way that it maybe could have.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I find that interesting the way you frame that. Very much myself in the startup world, especially on the technology side. We talk it with rapid prototyping, and when you're actually iterating this whole design process, and we call it A/B testing. So you want to change one thing and test that compared to that, because if you change two variables and then things are working, you don't know which one of it is working. So you want to do
Exactly.
one thing at a time. So you have to be methodical and patient about this, whether it's when you're creating a technology startup, or whether you're refining your golf swing here. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of that. It sounds like of
Oh, yes.
people changing too many things, and then something works, and then, well, now you don't know actually what works. So I want to ask you this. So how would you distill down and encapsulate your coaching philosophy, especially for juniors and new adults to the game?
Sure. It's funny. A lot of juniors and committed adults, they go through a very similar process with me. And I look at things very holistically. So the big picture, there are swing instructors and teachers out there. But I think of myself more as a coach. And because of that, I build a team around me. And I know kind of what my lane is. And in terms of developing the technique, very much building it fundamentally strong. So making sure the fundamentals are strong, whether you're a child or whether you're a beginner or adult. I think of it like a house. If that ground floor isn't built and sturdy, it's not going to sustain adversity like high winds and potential hurricanes. And so a golf swing, a player, you've got to develop that foundation strong, especially if they have the intention of playing competitive golf. So these quick fixes, or, getting a lesson, a day before a tournament, these are not things that I'm very keen on. I'm looking at building for long-term development. And so, getting players, whether they're juniors or adults in front of me that are on the same page and are a good fit for my program is something I look into too. And so I'm very much, when I meet them, it's an interview process, kind of let them know my plans. And so we start with the swing, and then after the swing and I get to a point where we're seeing the same patterns, I educate them on their body. And like I have Dr. Greg, who's a TPI certified physiotherapist. And I say, I know these exercises that you can do, but I am in no way a doctor or an expert in this field.
Yes.
So, I'd like you to meet Dr. Greg. And then a lot of my players, even adults who are, just playing once or twice a week, they can go see Dr. Greg. You don't have to feel like you're training for the tour to have a benefit, because what they see is when they get their body good, their overall wellness is good. So whether they're competing for golf or just around the house, they're not having knee pain or hip pain or whatever it is. So that bleeds in a positive way into not just their golf game, but their overall kind of health. And then my competitive players, juniors and adults, I was talking about Coach Dawn. So we get to a roadblock where technique looks good. We're working on their body, but now they're competing and they're self-sabotaging on the course. Okay.
Yes.
So now we reference Dawn, and she's able to start working with my players. And then, we get to the point where it's like, okay, we're working on physical, we're working on mental, but now your eating patterns aren't great. You quit eating on the seventh hole, and you saw, 3 bogeys in a row, 13th, 14th, and 15th hole. So now we're looking at your nutrition. So we're trying to get the overall player in a good spot and learning how to manage themselves. And then by doing that, you see a very positive gain in all parts of the player on and off the course.
So you're telling me actually eating a hot dog at the turn in 2 bites and washing it down with a 20-ounce Coors Light is maybe not the best nutrition?
I'd say that's better than not doing anything at all. So
It's interesting you mentioned that, joking aside, because I find with myself, and I still have a metabolism level like a hummingbird, and I do bonk out, that I find on some rounds, like if I don't take a banana with me and I have water with me, so at the turn I just have that, or maybe even like a protein bar, especially. I find I've had that where the last 5 holes I've just faded, and it's like bogey, double bogey, and a triple bogey here and there. And
yeah.
mostly it's a matter of that focus piece. And I know I've just kind of run out of more mental
Mm-hmm.
energy than physical energy. So it sounds like you're working in this holistic way of all the components here with your students.
Yeah, and TPI did a study a while ago, and I don't know if it's changed since then, but I read this probably about 5 years ago, but they said mild dehydration. So that's not even taking in food, but just mild dehydration causes a 93% loss of accuracy and 11% loss of distance.
Wow.
So when here in Florida, I mean, it's very hard to stay hydrated in the middle of the summer. So the kids, especially when they get nervous competing, they'll stop eating and drinking,
Right.
and they'll see their scores go down, and they'll tell us, they can, or they forgot or whatever. And so it just becomes part of training where it's like, you're just, whether you're putting it on your scorecard, every 3 holes, I'm going to eat a bar, or I'm going to eat a handful of peanuts or a banana or whatever it is. You create a routine for it. And so where the adults can benefit, like golf is social, like have that beer, go out and have, I'm not saying don't do that. They're not training, for competition. They're
Yeah.
out socializing and having a good time. So have the beer, but make sure maybe pack a peanut butter sandwich too, or a banana.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, we got a couple minutes left here. We got a few people that have
Sure.
joined us. Once again, I want to mention, do you have a question for Coach Mo? Type it in chat. Let's make this interactive. Let's go. Said some shows we actually have it. Well, the show can't end because so many people are just chiming in, and I find it's like a lot of things. Once the first person asks a question, then it just starts to waterfall from there. So come on, don't be shy. Ask a question here. But while I'm waiting for those questions, I am going to share our screen and add to the stage here, and that is your website here for personalized coaching. So we've got that. Just give me a second here, course, because I'm being the executive director here while I'm also being the host. We also got, I think we got that right there. There's as far as the URL to actually find out what's going on with Coach Mo Golf Pro. So I can scroll through it. Why don't you walk us through your, there you are. Walk us through what you're doing at
Let's
the
see.
Golf Academy at St. John's.
This is the home page. So on the website, as you go down, there's different options, whether you're looking for yourself as an adult or for your junior. We have a lot of different programs available based on skill level and commitment level. So our academy starts at age 4 with our foundations program. And then we evolve the kids through our programming. So they go
Right.
from foundations to birdies. Then next is Eagles, then Aces, then Albatross, then College Prep. So no matter what the age or skill level is, we have a program or an instructor for that skill level and age. In terms of personalized coaching or adult instruction, I loved, the 1 hour lesson every few months. I don't personally see like there's a huge benefit from that. I'm always happy to do it, but I prefer to kind of set up programs for my adults as well.
Right.
And we base it on their schedule and their budget. So I let them tell me how, what days and times work for them, and then what is their budget. And then we create a program based on that. So I prefer doing that, where we can really talk and dive into the whole kind of aspects of the game, like I mentioned before. So we're going to go through every component, whether it's driver, irons, hybrids, look at their equipment, go through short game, go on the course with them. So just kind of look at every aspect and try to figure out where they're losing strokes and how we can create a plan for them that works with their schedule as well as their budget. And so we try to make it as practical as possible. So we have those different options for both the kids and the adults, and we've been, really successful. We're growing. I've got 3 other instructors on staff with me and looking to hire another one. So just a lot of golf instruction to be had, and so we're just growing here like crazy, which is awesome.
Nice, nice. I see in the middle picture here, you have yourself in the middle there, but you've got a squad of smiling women here. So let's finish up the show here, the last couple of minutes, about
Yeah.
talking about the growth of golf that women are bringing and the introduction to the game. And I've had the
Yeah.
opportunity over years to have some amazing women like yourself provide insights and educate me on some of the barriers that are out
Yeah.
there that prevent women from joining the game. So talk about this. Is this kind of a group
Yeah.
atmosphere, that socialization piece? What are you finding? What works and what doesn't here? And
So
what
that
you're doing
photo,
to get women involved?
yeah, that photo right there. We have events for legs, Ladies Executive Golf Society, and I know you've had Jillian Johnson on your show
I
and
have,
know
yeah.
her. So I'm not only a member of Legs, but I host events here. So we do several clinics and events every month at St. John's for the women, and it has been tremendous. The growth. We're not only seeing it here, but just through the National Golf Foundation. I mean, women's golf is exploding. And I happen to look up a couple numbers, but just in 2024, 7.9 million women and girls played traditional golf, which is increase of 25% since 2019. And 60% of all new golfers happen to be women. So it's just crazy. And I think we're seeing this for a lot of different reasons. There's more welcoming environments for them, access. Manufacturers are starting to create products that are more women centric. And one of the ones that people may not understand or focus on, but the apparel brands, women, like if the outfits are not good, they're not going to want to go. And
Right.
so, like when I played and grew up, I had to play with the boys a lot. And like the clothes were very much like they were not cute or flattering. They were like pleated khaki shorts down to your knees, right? And so, like, there are women, like, when you're trying to get new women and females into the game, a lot of them, they want to look cute and they want to have outfits that match whatever, like, they like to express themselves. So now that you're seeing all these manufacturers creating outfits that women will, like, that are excited about, like, you're going to see it explode. And I think for a lot of these companies, they look at it backwards. They're like, well, we don't want to create products if there's no, it's all numbers and money. And so, but what they have to understand is if you put the product out, like women will flock to it in huge numbers. But if there's limited options, they're not going to want to do it. And so I think you're seeing, more women get in because of that. And then also these off course kind of options like Top Golf and simulators. The engagement has been insane for that. Another 7 million women are getting into it. Top Tracer and Top Golf and these things. And that the stat I found was 42% of off course golf in 2023 was women,
Yes.
which is insane. So I think, there's a lot more opportunities and there's a lot more resources for women. And the more and more that we see with that, you're going to see those numbers grow. I think the barriers can still be the mindset of some people. I think it's hard. If you're a man, I don't know what their mentality is on certain things, but I think they think of things very differently than the women. And so I think you need to almost have a woman in your leadership or your team or your committee to provide insight to help the women. Because if a group of men are trying to make decisions for women, I think you're just going to misstep on a lot of different things. So I think you're seeing a lot more women in leadership roles. And like here, me, the director of instruction, you're just seeing women in different opportunities, which help then expand other women to become involved.
Yeah. Well, men have been putting themselves in the position of making decisions for women for hundreds and hundreds of years. And how's
Yeah.
that worked out so far?
I don't
You
know.
know what?
And not saying it should be all women, but I think you just need like for every sort of major decision or committee, like you need to throw a woman in there because
Of
they're going to
course.
give you a different perspective.
100%. Absolutely. Okay, so as we finish up here, I want to pull up again here. So anyone that's interested in then watching or listening to the Coach Mo Golf Show, if you're not tired of listening to me yet, you can hear the mic switched around the other way and me telling Mo and the audience the journey of ModGolf and my entrepreneurial journey in golf and elsewhere and the things that I've done. But you've had some amazing guests on there too, and continue to do so. So really excited about not only where you are, but where you're going with this, and looking forward to seeing you again at the PGA show next year in January, as we go every single year there in Orlando. So once again, CoachMoGolfPro.com. Have a look at that. So I just want to finish up with this one. I love storytelling. You're a great storyteller. So connecting this with women, a personal story that you've seen that a woman that's come in and taken lessons, really apprehensive, perhaps not really knowing that much, maybe even not even thinking this is for her, and now coming out the other side, just absolutely loves golf and it lights her up. So can you share one story with us quickly as we finish up here of a success story with a woman or a group of women that you've encountered?
I mean, just having the legs group overall. I mean, there's just
Mm,
been so many of them that to name, and where it's like they didn't even have their own set of clubs and now they're attending class regularly. And then you see them out making tee times and playing together. And then they're so confident now in themselves, they're recruiting other ladies. So we just see such a positive gain from that. I'm trying to think real fast of like one lady because there's just been so many.
right.
Um, but it's just incredible and it's really exciting. And as a coach, I mean, you get the same sense of whether a student wins a big tournament or they've achieved the goal they've been trying to achieve. Like when you see a lady out there, like I've seen it where it's like maybe the normal average player wouldn't get excited about, and like the ladies will be at a clinic and maybe it's just like they made a 10-foot putt, but you would have thought that was to like win the US Open. They're going around high-fiving everyone, cheering, and just like the energy level is so exciting and contagious. And so it's just every few weeks, every 2 weeks we have an event with them, so I'm seeing this constantly. So I would say I don't necessarily have one particularly lady standing out, but just every single time we have an event, it's somebody is having some sort of personal achievement that they're just so excited about. I will say a couple weeks ago, I had a putting clinic with legs, and I like to do competitions after. So we go through our, the instructional portion, and then I tell them, I said, like you've got to kind of practice with a little pressure. I don't want to scare you, but we're just going to do like a little competition. And I brought something back from the Masters, and the winner's going to win that. And so I had this tornado drill set up where it starts at, if you make your 2-footer, you go on to the 3-footer. Then if you make that, you go to 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, and so on. And so I had the ladies all go, and whoever made it the farthest was going to win. And I had these 2 ladies tie on this hole. So then we had a playoff. And so these 2 ladies had a playoff. So we go through the playoff and then they tie again. So I put them at like a 35-foot lag putt, closest to the pin kind of thing. So we went 3 extra holes. And then finally, one of the ladies won, and she was ecstatic, and just had a blast. Of one, like a little Masters keychain. So
I love that. I love that. And I've seen it with my mother-in-law. Sadly, she passed away about a year and a half ago now, at the wonderful age of 86, so lived a full life. But she played golf all of her life, and only one in the family that did. And it was really a social thing for her, and not playing in COVID, that I think definitely had a negative impact on her. But just before COVID, she was 82, had her first hole-in-one ever at the executive course that she played twice a week with her ladies group, and had at 82. And that, it was amazing. And just having that, we still have that picture framed, and just love that. So you just never know where golf is going to take you. And there's always a new experience. Like with me, whether it's 3 good shots in a row for an amazing birdie, followed up by a quadruple bogey where I forget how to swing a golf club, and everything in between. So yes, for big shout out to Helen O'Connor with her amazing hole-in-one that
awesome.
at 82 years old. That's why it is a game for life. It sounds like a bit of a trope or a cliche, but it certainly is, because you're not going to be dunking basketballs at 82 years old anymore. I play competitively. I'm 6'1". I can barely even touch the rim. Probably couldn't even touch the rim anymore. But I can get out there and make some putts and make some birdies. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Lifelong game increases lifespan by 5 years. They say when you're walking playing golf, adds 5 years to your life. So there's a lot of health and mental benefits from the game. So it's one, whether you pick it up when you're 5 or 85, you can do it.
Agree 100%. Coach Mo, I am so glad that kind of circumstances and timing and serendipity just brought us together to sit beside each other at the Buffalo Agency luncheon with their Taco Tuesday there at the PGA Golf Show. And that's the great thing about life, just putting yourself out there, whether it's going for a golf clinic for your first time, and just doing it. Like we've talked about also on your show, it's that active doing, just like you mentioned. Yes, that learning piece. I found for me, I always struggled to memorize things, and academically in school, courses that required that, never did very well. But anything where it was that active doing to learn, that is the best way that it ingrains in you the right way, and it sticks. So whether it's your golf swing, or whether it's creating a podcast and content like we do. And I just read the other day, the best way to create a podcast, to be good at podcasting, is create a podcast and just do it. So you and I are both doing that. We don't have all the answers, just like with golf. It is a journey. You're not going to have a perfect swing. I will never have a perfect swing, but that's not the point now, is it?
Just stick to the process and have fun doing it.
Love that. Love that. Well, on that note, we're going to end it. So Coach Mo, thanks so much for joining us on
Thanks,
ModGolf
Colin.
Live today on a Monday. I hope you have a great week, that this sets you up and everyone else out there for a fantastic week. As I said, I'm getting on a plane on Thursday. I will be both on our YouTube channel and Instagram with ModGolf. I'll try to do my best to have daily posts, whether I'm on a golf course, and I'm playing some amazing courses, which should be kind of crazy. I'm not even going to keep score, because I'm sure some of these courses are going to be playing with the wind and everything else, and not really playing link style courses before. I'm sure I'll shoot 110 or 120, but that doesn't matter. So the score won't be the important thing. It's all about the experience. So I will be documenting those with short videos and posting those as we go. So yeah, if you want to follow what I'm doing, the trials and tribulations and the exaltations in Ireland, and then hopefully for a couple of days in Scotland too, please follow us there. So Coach Mo, thanks again. I look forward to seeing you in person again. It probably won't be for another 9 months, but I'm sure you and I will be talking a long time before that.
Absolutely, and I wish you more birdies in Ireland like you had the other day.
Aw, thanks. Yes, we'll try to keep the quadruple bogeys to a minimum.
You try. You can
There we
try.
go. All right. You take care. Have a great week.
All right. See you, Colin.
All right. Bye now.